Welcome to the Real About Real Estate podcast with Michelle Hayward. Get the latest information meant for buyers and sellers straight from real people in the industry.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's podcast where we talk about home inspections, things that you need to know and things that could benefit you. And with me today, I have a wonderful guest who has accepted my invitation, and I'm so glad that he's here. Thomas, how are you?
How are you?
I am doing wonderful, wonderful, and thank you so much for accepting my invitation. And Thomas is with Precision Property Inspections. And you will get to hear from him. I will cover some questions with him that he has been so gracious to give us some of his insight. And again, it's for the intention of helping the viewers and those of you who are listening, and just some tips and takeaways that will make life a little bit easier for you. So, with that, Thomas, aside from how you're doing today, it sounds like you have a busy schedule.
We're fortunate we're staying very busy. So
Which is
good
really
company.
good, really good. So, out of respect of your time, because again, I do know you have appointments throughout the day. So, with that, one of the things that I wanted to have you tell viewers about is just first off, what is Precision Property Inspections about? How did you all come to be?
So my business partner and I, we we have our background working either in the military or associated with the military, which I can elaborate on in a little bit.
Okay.
But basically, it came to fruition just from um, spending a lot of time deployed, a lot of time not at home, and ultimately, he and I put our heads together and decided that it just really isn't the type of career that you can sustain for a long time. And being a business owner was something that was very important to both of us, and we both had a very big passion for real estate.
Hmm.
So it made sense given some of the things that we had in our toolkit, if you will, to venture into real estate, and we ultimately landed on home inspections based on the fact that we saw a really big need for not just home inspectors in the Phoenix metro area, but really quality um, home inspectors. And we could bring our own little touch on how to make us stand out in the market.
Oh, okay,
And
great.
so that's how we got here.
Okay. And with that, obviously you assist a lot of people, not just those who are veterans, but you offer discounts as well to VAs, given that's more of your target market.
Absolutely. So we give a 25% discount
Okay.
for our veterans, people with a VA affiliation, even contractors. If you've been a contractor and you've worked directly with DHS or Department of Homeland Security, I'll try to refrain from using acronyms so everyone
Okay.
can understand. Or the Department of Defense in some fashion. Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Border Patrol.
Okay.
Those are the discounts that we do offer,
Okay.
25% off.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for sharing that. And that's pretty in depth. And at the end, I will ask you to provide your contact information and everything because I'm pretty certain that not only veterans, but just those who will find, again, benefit in what you share with us today will want to reach out to you. So thank
Absolutely,
you
I'd love.
again for that. So I always like to start off with giving more definition about what the topic is about because, while we can assume that most people know, I don't like to assume. So for right now, let's just start off with just kind of the basic definition of what a home inspection is and the advantages of it.
Sure. So a home inspection is our opportunity to come inspect the property. What that means is we get a comprehensive look and understanding of exactly what encompasses and is going on with the property. We're talking foundation, structure, plumbing, electric, Um, we'll look into the HVAC system as well. Um, it's just our ability to take a pretty thorough but brief look
Hmm.
at all the systems of a home and get an idea of the quality of it and the current status of it.
Okay. Yeah, and I know that you obviously can see things that us as realtors don't see, the buyers don't see, or just even the homeowners, quite honestly. It's just things that you would never realize. The property looks great on the surface, and without having a professional come in to really assess the situation, you really don't know. You're basing it more on what you can see with the naked eye. So thank you for that. And your profession, by the way, because you guys, you take a lot of time. You're very detailed. You're very thorough in what you do. And so, uh, while I'm sure you uh, get really into it with just not only the equipment that you may use or just what you can see with the eye and knowing what you're looking for. It's you guys put a lot of time into it. I mean, I've been on inspections, and I will tell you, it's been about 2 to sometimes 4 hours in length at one time.
It certainly can be. It certainly can be.
Yes, yes. So again, you're appreciated because that just means you're being thorough.
Thank
So
you.
one of the
We
next
certainly
things,
do that.
one of the next things I wanted to ask you, because I've actually heard this before from buyers more so when they found a property that they really like, and we're past the point of the offer being accepted, and we're at the point of doing the home inspection. One of the things that has come out of it, especially if it's a new build, is, well, why do I need a home inspection if it's a new build, or even in the case where the appliances or plumbing have been upgraded recently? What's the point of having a home inspection if it checks one of those two boxes? So can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. Um, a lot of these houses get very brief um, moments in time where there are people putting their eyes on it, whether it be a construction manager or a city inspector. They're essentially just giving it a quick glimpse to make sure that it's safe.
Okay.
Outside of that, they really don't dive too deep on the quality of the work that's being done.
Okay.
Um, our opportunity to go in there and look at these properties, because there are so many different people that put their hands on that property throughout the build process or the renovation process, is we can actually look and determine, um, not just if something was done, but if something was done um, to a professional standard. And it's our knowledge and our experience in the field that we can give you a better understanding if something was done appropriately, or if there's something that maybe could be done better that just wasn't quite there.
Okay. So it sounds like it allows for questions to be raised if you determine something is maybe not done quite correctly or up to code. That at least that gives that buyer, we'll use as an example, that buyer a little bit more. I don't want to say arsenal, but it'll better equip them for asking those right questions, at least to get a comfortable answer. Is that more
Absolutely.
or less where you're coming from?
Absolutely, yeah. We
Okay.
we try to equip the buyer throughout the process, more so with just knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of systems involved with the home, and there might be some people that they know electrical and they're good with electrical. They may not be as familiar with plumbing or with
Okay.
the way roofing is done, and then our experience allows us to really just pass on knowledge to the buyer, so then they're not caught off guard about anything throughout that process. And then
Okay.
when it does come time to negotiate or to communicate with their construction manager or whomever about work that they would like done or done differently, it gives them the tools in order to get that
Right.
done.
Right. And I've actually kind of going back to just thinking about the times and my experience of having that question raised by a buyer of what's the point of getting a home inspection if it's a new build, or, well, the seller's recently, upgraded these, again, appliances or plumbing or whatever it may be. And so why spend the money? What's the point of it? And that's one of the things that I share, is that you want to at least be well informed. You want to know that whatever has been listed on that seller's disclosure is accurate about the condition of the property. It's the health of the property. And if you can have an expert come in and tell you that, well, yes, everything is in line, it's in great condition, or there are even some minor things, at least you know as the buyer, and it will many times help you determine whether or not you want to move forward with purchasing that property. And that's the key piece too, is that I don't think many times, and again, this is just based on my experience, that some buyers realize it's a negotiating tool. So thank you for,
100%.
yeah, thank you for sharing that. One of the
Mhm.
next questions I wanted to ask you, you did touch on it a little bit already, about what is inspected. And again, I know you touched on it, but if you can just elaborate a little bit more in terms of the things that you're looking for when you're doing an inspection.
Sure. So a lot of times it boils down to, we'll touch on a couple examples. Um, a lot of houses out here in Arizona, there are different types of concrete slabs that can be put down. So we can look and tell you if it's a post tension slab. We can look and tell you if it's just a slab on grade, and then what are some typical things to expect with that slab over the course of time.
Okay.
Um, we can look at the safety system of your electrical system. There are lots of panels that just simply have breakers, and then there are homes that have um, ground fault circuit interrupters, but either in the outlets or it's incorporated into the breaker system of the panel.
Okay.
Same thing with arc fault breakers. We can explain what those items are, how they work, why they work the way that they do, and really, again, it just gets down to educating people
Mhm.
on exactly what their house is and how it should function, and
Okay.
not just necessarily for the inspection itself, but also the knowledge of understanding that for their house
Mhm.
over the course of time.
Okay. Now, in the report, and this is just based on my experience, and I know every inspector does things a little bit differently, but in the report, so for that type of detailed information, it will obviously go on the report. But let's just say you find issues with things to that degree. Are you explaining it in such a way in the report that it's more in layman's terms for someone to be able to understand, or do you just put the language in as just your standard language of how you conduct the inspection, and then the buyer can reach out, or even the realtor can reach out just to get a better understanding of what those things mean?
So we actually do two different things. In
Okay.
the report itself, the report generally is a more comprehensive, um, detailed,
Mm-hmm.
oriented way of explaining what these things are. The thing is when we actually go over the inspection in person at the property, that's more of the informal communication where we can have that one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
conversation and put it in more layman's terms, and also it affords the buyer to ask those questions if they have them.
Okay.
But we do simplify things more verbally versus in the report. If there is something wrong, then the language is there, so that way it can be translated over to an industry professional that will function more appropriately with those more detailed explanations of what things are.
Okay. Okay. Which is good, because I knew more than likely that was the process. I just know that sometimes, when I've had buyers to reach out to say, well, what does this actually mean? And we've actually gotten on the call together, to call the inspector to say, hey, we need a little bit better understanding of what this means to determine whether or not it's something that, if the buyer's weighing whether or not, we ask the seller to address the issue, assuming that it's a major issue, or if it's, again, something minor, is it something that, maybe they can choose to get done down the line, depending upon, of course, what the expense might be to the buyer.
Sure.
So thank you for that.
You're
Now, what
welcome.
about the and again, everything is based on my experience. That's pretty much where I can speak from. But I've also heard buyers say, well, I have insurance, so why do I need a home inspection? Doesn't my insurance cover any issues that I may encounter, once the house is mine? So I don't know if you've heard something similar, but if you can just speak to what would your response be to something like that?
My response would be the same answer to people that opt out of a new build inspection or
Mm-hmm.
a newly renovated house. There really isn't any situation that I've encountered where you don't stand to benefit from getting a home inspection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, our knowledge and our experience in the industry gives us the ability to look at things that might even be outside the scope of what an insurance policy can
Mm-hmm.
cover. Um, Not all insurance policies do cover everything,
Correct.
and so really it's just an opportunity for, at a very bare minimum, gaining knowledge. Even if we don't find anything major wrong with the house, it's still a great opportunity to get a more detailed understanding of the property
Right.
prior to moving forward.
Yeah, and it definitely gives the buyer a peace of mind. And that's the goal too, as a realtor. And this would just be anyone absolutely that I am working with. If I feel that there is a benefit that could be gained, then of course that would be my recommendation. And 100% of the time, I highly recommend that you get a home inspection. It could save you not only the peace of mind, but savings upon savings. The cost of, just not getting a home inspection is just so high. And you don't want to purchase that home and find out after the fact that there are these issues with the property that you could have been informed about had you gotten an inspection. So yeah, it happens, but more often than not, I have yet to have one client though that has not moved forward with a home inspection. So I pray that it continues to move in that direction, that no one that I ever work with will decline having a home inspection, because I kind of beat it to death because it's so important. But listen, Thomas, I do want to respect your time, and we're actually doing pretty good here. But I do want to give you an opportunity to just add anything else that you want to share with viewers and those who might be listening. Just any other tips or anything that we might not have covered here.
Sure. Well, kind of like you've already mentioned, don't opt out of a home inspection. You really there's nothing to lose in this situation. It's a win-win, not just for me, also for your realtor, also for the buyer, and even in a lot of cases, even the sellers. They might be able to gain some knowledge that either they didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
or they can address or mitigate a lot of issues that really, in I would say 90% of the cases, are generally fairly minor. Um, so it really is a benefit to every party involved to get a home inspection.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you so, so very much. You are appreciated, my friend. You provide a lot of great information that I'm sure that there will be a lot of takeaways. And so, with that, if you would not mind giving your contact information for people to be able to reach you.
Absolutely. So again, we're Precision Property Inspections. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. With my direct phone number, you can call me at 602 499 7573. You can look at us online at www.azprecision.insp.com.
And that's precision without an S. As I found out. Well, Thomas, if you could hang on just for a few minutes here, and actually it's probably going to be more seconds. At the end of every podcast, one of the things that I like to do is just share with the audience and those who are listening just more or less something that they can take away that will hopefully give them a little bit of a boost throughout the day. You know, we're all going through so much these days, as we can see if you turn on the TV or just even walk down the street. And one of the things that I wanted to just leave everyone with today is hold your head up. No matter how hard times may get. Again, we all have so many burdens that we carry, whether it's family, whether it's financial, and the list just goes on and on. So I just wanted to say, keep your head up, and everything that I share with you, I share with myself. So it's note to self. Again, it's just things that can come in any given day that may blindside us or just may have us just, scratching our heads sometimes. Just know that it will pass and that you keep your head up and motivate yourself and get out there and just make it a great day. Make the decision to be happy, and that's what I will leave you with today. Again, Thomas, thank you so very much for being my guest. Best wishes to you on everything, and try not to work too hard.
Thank you so much. We'll keep that in mind.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning into the Real About Real Estate podcast with Michelle Hayward. Like, follow, and subscribe to continue to get the real about real estate.